When he broke the second seal, I heard a second living being say, "Go." Another horse went out, a red one, and its rider was given the power to take peace away from the earth and make people slaughter each other. He was given a great sword. Now, in 2008, I was sitting near a pool and I was watching my daughter swim, and I looked up into the sky, and I don't normally think that there's messages in the clouds, but I saw a rider on a horse with a large sword. Now, at that time, I didn't quite know what all that meant because, I wasn't reading my Bible adamantly, and I didn't yet know that I was going to prophesy. I just remember hearing God say things to me like, turn off your television. So I sold my television to my father, and he has it to this day. And turn off your radio. And I haven't really listened to the radio. I mean, I listen to music because I love music, but I don't. If I know something new, it's just because my daughter will play it, and I'll hear it, and I'll, be like, okay. But I really haven't heard anything new since, I don't know, 2000. Wow, I don't know. I'm thinking of Cardi B. It was like, I'm gonna say 16, 17. There might have been some new things since then, but I mean, really, I don't have a radio, so I don't listen to the radio. I don't have a television. Haven't watched television since 2008. I never really have been very much of an avid television watcher. I've always been one of those kids that I'd rather go outside and play. And then, when I come in, I'm doing something else. I rarely watched TV. I usually watch movies, but I'd watch the same movies over and over, even when I was younger. So, and it's interesting that I find more significance in those movies now than I did then. But this seal is very important. Okay, it's about taking peace from the earth. And I'm going to look up something else here. Okay, so we have, I guess it's Matthew, I want to say 23. So I'm just looking at, maybe it's not 23, maybe it's 24. Yeah, so here we go. So this is what Jesus says to them when they ask, he says, when he was sitting on the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to him privately. Tell us, they said, when will these things happen? And he was talking about how he says, yes, I tell you, they will be totally destroyed. Not a single stone will be left standing. He's talking about the temple, right? So I said, tell us when these things will happen. And what will be the sign that you are coming? And what is the time? What are the signs of the end? And he says, watch out. Don't let anyone fool you. For many will come in my name, saying, I am the Messiah. And they will lead many astray. You will hear the noise of wars nearby, and the news of wars far off. See to it that you don't become frightened. Such things must happen, but the end is yet to come. For peoples will fight each other, nations will fight each other, and there will be famines and earthquakes in various parts of the world. All this is but the beginning of the birth pains. At that time, you will be arrested and handed over to be punished and put to death, and all peoples will hate you because of me. Okay, so basically, what we're seeing here is the peoples fighting each other. Okay, nations will fight each other. Okay, and there will be famines and earthquakes, and so we see this in Revelation 6. We see all those things, and what we see first is that conqueror going out, right? So who is the conqueror? The conqueror is the beast. So we see that go out first. But what we don't know is he's doing things behind the scenes while all these other things are going on. So what's going to happen in your neck of the woods? I can tell you what's going to happen in mine. I can tell you what's going to happen in the United States. I'm not sure about the rest of the world. But how do we get there? How do we get to that point, you know? If you look around, I remember seeing this movie once where people were having premonitions like crazy. And the girl said, you know, if you look around, the signs are all there, always, you know, whenever something's about to happen. And she's right. If you look around, you can see the signs. People are saying stuff. But what kind of war is this? What concerns me is how we connect this to prophecy, and not so much how other people have connected. I don't like the way they've connected it to prophecy. In fact, it almost seems like someone is taking something and making their own prophecy out of it, okay? Just to use it as symbolism for something. So what is real prophecy? I mean, you're confusing people using this symbolism. You know, when you think about millennials, what do you think about? I always think about the millennium, the 1,000 years, right? People are talking about the Illuminati. Let me ask you a question. If I was to tell you that the people that are doing this are not pagan, and the Illuminati is Satan worship, right? It's paganism, basically. But if I was to tell you that the people that are doing the things in this world who are propagandizing everything and trying to tear down America are not Illuminati, but Judeo-Christian people. And what I mean by that is the Bible, the curse of Canaan, comes from the Judeo-Christian teaching. One is the Torah, one is the Bible. They put it together, right? Protestantism. Because this is where we get the word wasp, right? And we're going to come back to that in a second. So I'm going to try to do this really, really fast because I don't really like taking a lot of time. I just want to go over one of the lies. Several of the lies. One of the lies that you're being told in order to keep you fooled is that the all-seeing eye or whatever in the pyramid on your dollar bill is a symbol of the Illuminati. That the Illuminati had this printed up, which is not true. That pyramid is on there because it is the back side of our United States seal. The person or the people that created that seal wanted, you know, they put the logo of the United States. It's it's the eagle, and then on the back they put the pyramid because they wanted to see America last as long as the pyramids did. And somebody else is using it for propaganda's sake to say, hey, nope, America's not going to have longevity because it's satanic. Look around. Look at all the things that are anti-God that we do now, that we accept. And that would be a way that people, like, they make people immoral and put immorality into the equation so that they can seem more moral? Because what is Protestantism? It's part of Christianity, right? The Christian movement. So, what's the second lie? What's another lie that they tell? How about democracy? I have argued with people from other countries that this is not a democracy, that it is indeed a republic. I have a copy of our Constitution. And here's another thing that I find really strange. They're not teaching kids cursive, so they can't read the Constitution. Well, here, I have it. It's in print. It's been in print for a long time. It's ridiculous. So, what does Article 4, Section 4 of the U.S. Constitution say? It says, the United States shall guarantee to every state in the Union a republican form of government. It's exactly what I did when I was in school, where I put my hand on my heart and I said, I'm sorry, my brain is very slow right now. It's just, when I say, I was trying to think of the words before it. Sorry. They're talking about the flag, and it says, to the republic for which it stands. Those are the words I'm looking for, but I wanted to look for all the words. Like, I wanted to say the whole thing. Because they're going to put an atheist up there. And they're going to say, oh, well, we need to take this out because it says under God. But they're going to use this atheist for propaganda's sake. Why do you need that? I know that the oath has changed over and over and over. But under God, those two words were put in 1954 during the Cold War with Russians who were atheists. And we were saying, oh, well, you guys aren't prospering because you don't have a God. Which is just because of communism, not because they didn't have a God. But we're prospering because we do have a God. So we're just the same thing they did during the Civil War. Each side had their logo about their God. Okay? There's so much information here. So the lie is that we don't live in a republic, but we live in a democracy. But why would we pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands? Why would we say that? Nobody's ever said, well, we're taking this oath out or this pledge out because why? Because democracy is in effect, not the republic. Our Constitution right now still stands. What happened to states' rights? And I believe that a lot of people in this group, these Protestants, these elite Protestants, would like to know that too, because they seceded, or their ancestors, let's just say, seceded from the nation for that very thing, because they felt like their states' rights were being trampled on and taken away from them when nobody was taking anything away from them. They just got paranoid and jumped. They jumped before the ship started to sink. So, what are they, let me ask you a question. Do you think that people who have a religion that gets taken away from them in war, maybe, Did they just toss that religion and say, I don't want it anymore? Did they just forgot about it? Their ancestors too? I don't think so. I don't think so. Another lie that's told is that all white people had slaves in the institution of African slavery. Let me see if I can find my cornerstone speech, because I can prove to you that that's not true. I wonder if it's over there. Hold on one second. I have to get up and walk around. Nobody likes to walk. I'm just kidding. Okay, so the idea that, actually I'm going to go back. I'm going to backtrack, and then we're going to come back to that one because that's number 2 on this list. So the first one is that the nation, or the southern states, the border states, not all of them, but the ones that did secede from the nation and became the Confederacy, these Democrats seceded over taxation and representation, which didn't happen, okay? It was a threat that they would secede in, I think, I should look this up, in North Carolina or South Carolina, one of them. Look it up. So that was like in the 1850s or something to that effect, okay? It was early on, and they threatened to secede. Now, it wasn't the whole entire South. It was just them, that one state. But these states that did secede over slavery, and we have the very Democrats themselves in the cornerstone speech given by Alexander H. Stephens, who was a Democrat in Georgia, who was part of the House of Representatives. He was also a lawyer. And did I say he was a vice president of the slave-holding states of Confederacy? He was also that too. So he gives this speech just after secession. And about, I think it was April? No, it was in March 21st, 1861. And he says this: "But not to be tedious in enumerating the numerous changes for the better, allow me to allude to one other, though last not least. The new Constitution has put at rest forever all the agitating questions relating to our peculiar institution, African slavery, as it exists amongst us, the proper status of the Negro in our form of civilization. This was the immediate cause of the late rupture and present revolution. Jefferson, in his forecast, had anticipated this as a rock upon which the old Union would split. He was right. What was conjecture with him is now a realized fact. But whether he fully comprehended the great truth upon which that rock stood and stands may be doubted." So here you have Alexander H. Stephens, a Democrat who has no reason to lie at this point, confirming that they did secede over the institution of African slavery. Now, did all white people own slaves? And did they all have the same type of slavery as this? And what did they want to do with it? Well, there was a majority of people who wanted to end slavery. There was a minority of people who believed in this type of slavery from the very beginning. And this is what he says: "The prevailing ideas entertained by him," and he's talking about Jefferson because we're continuing on, "and most of the leading statesmen at the time of the formation of the old Constitution were that the enslavement of the African was in violation of the laws of nature, that it was wrong in principle, socially, morally, and politically. It was an evil they knew not well how to deal with, but the general opinion of the men of that day was that somehow or other, in the order of providence, the institution would be evanescent and pass away. This idea, though not incorporated in the Constitution, was a prevailing idea." This idea was a prevailing idea. So it was the most predominant. It was the most popular idea. That that this institution should pass away, that there should not be slavery. Those ideas, however, were fundamentally wrong. They rested upon the assumption of the equality of races, just as our Declaration of Independence states, that all men are created equal. And why do you think they demonized Jefferson? It's not black people demonizing Jefferson. They just want black people to get on board with that. Because no one, except for James T. Callender, who was a political provocateur, not only in the country that he came from, but in this one as well, and was hired by Jefferson on several occasions, was the only one who was just hitting back at Jefferson because Jefferson said that he gave his wife an STD, that James T. Callender gave his wife an STD. So he hit back at him and he said, oh, well, you had a kid with that slave of yours, Sally Hemings, right? And actually, when you think about it, it's absurd, because not only was Jefferson too old at the time, he was not well. It could be someone in his family, but the DNA evidence has never really been that well. Do you think that this is the crazy part right here, okay? How in the world are they getting DNA evidence from that far back when they couldn't even get rape kits together in the 1960s, 70s, and 80s? And if you went back to try to test all that, you're going to have a hard time because that DNA is old. And you think that they can test this? That there's some secret room that no one has ever found? Are you serious? It's bullshit. I'm sorry to say that, but it is. It is a lie. I shouldn't say that because I'm sitting here talking about God and prophecy and stuff like that, but it is true. It's not true, okay? None of that is true. The reason they hate Jefferson is because he said all men are created. He had the strongest language against slavery. And this guy is saying, yeah, he's against slavery. I mean, how can you be against a guy who created an act to stop the importation of slaves into this country? I mean, you can be mad at people because they say, well, maybe we're afraid of how some people had a fear of how black people might be able to not acclimate well into our society because they were enslaved. He wasn't talking about all black people. He was talking about the ones who had been enslaved, because there were free black people post-Civil War, okay? So he was talking about the ones that weren't free. So what do you do with that? Okay, so you attack him because you're an elitist, okay, who wants this back. I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to try to skip to the chase, but this type of slavery was not even a major type of slavery in the world. It was the first in the history of the world here, and it says it right here. Our new government is founded upon exactly the opposite idea. Its foundations are laid, its cornerstone rests upon the great truth that the Negro is not equal to the white man, that slavery subordination to the superior race is his natural and normal condition. This, our new government, is the first in the history of the world based upon this great physical, philosophical, and moral truth. Guess what? Not all WASPs in the very beginning, like he said, was a small group, were on board with this for slavery but every Democrat was. So not every person who is considered a WASP was, I don't even know if you could even say that every single one of them today or through those lines were, but they still get on board with each other financially to do things. But I don't think that you could say that they all agreed with slavery. But if they joined the Democratic Party, then they did. But here's what he says about it. This truth has been slow in the process of its development. Like all other truths in the various departments of science, it has been so even amongst us. So you see, many who hear me perhaps can recollect well that the truth was not generally admitted even within their day. The errors of the past generation still clung to many as late as 20 years ago. So there you have it. So as time went on, they all started to gravitate towards this. So enough of them, and I have a book called Wasps, and I'm going to explain all of that and how they're connected, because and where I got that name, and I didn't get it, but where I first heard it. Okay, so I'm just kind of going through all of this stuff. Okay, so here's what has to be done in order to reinstate slavery. We can't do it under the Constitution that we have right now. Our Constitution is very sound. It's very strong. You can't break it. It's hard to break it, and nobody would let you. But you have to create chaos. You have to create a war. Okay? I don't know if I said this at the beginning, but I know I said it at the beginning in another video. Let me just say it again, even if I'm going to reiterate it, even if so, okay? So, I was at my dad's house and I saw the Holy Spirit come in, and I saw this blue swirl. It come in like a swirl, and then it kind of like stopped in front of me and opened up. And I heard Donald Trump's voice saying that there was going to be a war. And then it closed, and I heard the voice of God say, tell them there's going to be a war. And that is why I'm reading this thing about, rumors of wars. Actually, it's not rumors of wars. It's, you're going to hear news of wars nearby and news of wars far off. And then it says, peoples will fight each other, nations will fight each other, etc. And then we go to seal number 2. And this is where we see that peace is being taken from the earth. So during that time, we're going to have a big war here. Now, whether it will turn into World War III, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not real certain of that. When I think of that, it doesn't seem right. I know it says nations will fight each other, but that doesn't mean every nation will be fighting for the same, like all nations, like several nations will be fighting with several other nations or one nation. I don't see that. Now, it's possible, but I'm going to say, to be on the safe side, that there are going to be wars elsewhere as well. That peoples are going to fight each other. They're going to slaughter each other, okay? That peace is being taken from the earth. And during this time, we'll see a temple being built. So when I look at the destruction of America, because that's the only way you can do it, you have to destroy America. Then you have to rebuild it, and you can institute slavery. And if they come in and say, yeah, we are the ones who are going to stop this war, and they claim victory, we'll have democracy, and we will have slavery. And at that point, white privilege is this: no matter how rich or poor, high or low, if you're white, you're not going to be a slave. And yes, Black lives will matter. They're not going to massacre anyone. I have so many things to say in this department. Okay, they're not going to massacre you. Okay, they're not going to, if you're black, they're not massacring black people. They're not they're not genociding anyone. Okay, you want to know why? Because without you, they can't exist. Without you, they can't be superior. You need an inferior race to be superior, so black lives do indeed matter. See, these are their phrases. White privilege, Black Lives Matter, insurrection even. Because when we look at what they did in the past with the Ku Klux Klan and how we connect everybody together, we know that the Protestant churches were connected to the Second Klan and the First Klan. We know that WASP means wealthy or white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. How do we know that these WASPs still exist? Well, because there's this documentary called Born Rich. And it was put out in 2003 by Jamie Johnson, an heir to the Johnson Johnson family. So he's filming Christina Floyd, who is Raymond Floyd, the golfer, his daughter. And she's going around to these country clubs in the Hamptons. And she states, oh, well, this is the waspiest of the wasps. At the time, I didn't know what the heck that meant. I was like, what does that mean? I had to look that up. And it's funny because I found the explanation in Vanity Fair under Jamie's, one of his articles. And then I had to go further and look it up. I was like, I've never heard of this term. This is how sheltered I am. Okay, so everybody's looking at me like, what? You never? No, I didn't. But I had thought that the civil rights movement had taken care of country clubs in the 1990s, where they put pressure on each other to change their ways. But apparently the Hamptons with the billionaires, well, it didn't change. And people always make fun of me and they go, oh, you're talking about country clubs. Yeah, but who were these country clubs built by? And who were they built for? And when you listen to her, she's not only saying these are the waspiest of the wasps. She's saying that Jews aren't allowed to be members. Black people aren't allowed to be members. She didn't say Catholic, but I'm pretty sure that's one of them. Okay? Protestant means protester of a Catholic church. Okay. So if you hear headlines about race massacres that were race riots before, and they changed it, and they try to give you some good, reasonable explanation for that, they're trying to scare you. Okay? They don't want to genocide you. If they did, they could have wiped you out a long time ago. And this is only happening in America. We only culture people a certain way in America. Nowhere else in the world will you find black people cultured in this way. And they will make them think it has something to do, either do with slavery or Africa. That's how far the lies go. And you know what? All it takes is a Google search. Google. I found it everywhere. Okay, so I took this screenshot from RJ 2010's page. Now that page, it exists. It just doesn't have the videos or the comments or any other information on it. Now, here's the thing. There's a guy on here called Uncooked Vanilla, okay? And he's in the discussion below, part of the, another discussion with RJ 2010, okay? And RJ 2020 doesn't seem to like him at all. But this guy still exists. He's still making videos, okay? Or he still has a channel, let's just say. So that's how I can prove that this is not a fake. Because RJ 2010 is talking to him as well. But there's another guy on here. Nope, wait. And RJ 2010 says this: diversity is the future of America. whether these extreme redneck wingnuts like it or not. Now, the mistake that RJ 2010 makes about Nope Wait is that he is an alt-right. And he bases this on the fact that this guy's going to use racial epithets, okay? Epithets. Sorry, I didn't say it right. But yeah, he's using racial slurs. So he says, okay, you must be an alt-right. You must be someone who's a Republican, right? Well, this is what he says to that diversity thing. He says, another Negroid whom hates whites yet loves those white women. Diversity is a weapon that will destroy the United States, and I can't wait. Once the United States falls, we can finally start over, and you Negroids will be extremely effed. Enjoy it while it lasts, Negroid. So here's the problem. He may be using racial slurs, but he's talking about destroying the United States. Notice how he properly calls it the United States and not America. Notice how he talks about diversity being a weapon against this country. The only people who want to tear this country down are liberals, Democratic liberals. So he outs himself, but yet he outs the whole group because he says we can start over. We can finally start over. And why would Black people be extremely effed here? Well, if you're not going to institute slavery, then they're not. What, are they going to kill them all? No. They're going to reinstitute slavery when they build it back. They want to start over. You know, I've never heard an alt-right say, yeah, let's tear down the country. I'm just saying. So, we have WASPs, Protestants, who are connected to the Ku Klux Klan. These Protestants are in these country clubs. They don't like, isn't it self-evident if you're calling yourself a WASP, or you say these are the waspiest of the WASPs, that they're Protestants and they're protesters of the Catholic Church, so they don't like Catholics? It's self-evident, right? Jews and Blacks. Because there's a Black guy playing tennis, and Jamie says, well, is he a member? And Christina says, no, he's probably a pro. And nobody would like it if somebody brought a Black person to the club. She doesn't know she's kicked out because she brought 3 or 4 of her Jewish friends to the club. What does this tell you? Now, I don't know if they've cleaned that up or not, or they say they have, because they said it in the 90s. So what we're looking at is a coming war. I'm prophesying that to you because it's already been prophesied. And that's what's happening in our neck of the woods with seal number 2. So when that seal is ripped off, and I'm not going to give you a date or a time, I have set in my mind a certain amount of time before I have to prepare to get out of here, because I'm not staying here. I'm not staying in this country. I'm making preparation right now to leave, and it's kind of the last hour. Okay. And there's so much to say about this. If I have any other thoughts on it, I will let you know. But these same people, and I'm going to do a video on 9/11. This is a short one because it's really, I don't want to go into how it was done. That was curiosity on my part to find out how it was done. And God gave me those answers. But really, that's not necessary. I just want to do a video to show how it opens the door to the major prophecy that is coming after that after those wars, after that peace is being taken from the earth. And notice that Jesus here even talks about famines and stuff like that, and that is it starts in seal number 3, and then it goes into seal number 4, and it talks about earthquakes. So all of these things, all these seals are the opening. This is like a woman going into labor. She's going to go into labor, and it's before she gives birth. So once she gives birth, then that's the big time that we talk about, the big time prophecy, okay? But I'm going to show you how 9/11 opened the door to that major prophecy. But this is coming first. You know, if Biden's walking around crazy and Trump is talking to the troops on December 24th, this is a sign. And look at all the other signs. I mean, there's so many of them. I could just go through. I had tons and tons of paper and research that I've done for years on this whole subject. I could go for hours. And I know most people aren't interested in 40 minutes of this already. So, and that's how long I've gone on this one, because I'm trying to think of what am I going to say next. But I have debunked some lies, not all of them, but that's enough to get you started. You should go and do some research. Okay, it's out there. The truth is out there. This Klan wanted to make money, okay? And this is how they did it. They're linked to the Democrats. So it goes, people who believe in the institution of African slavery at the formation of the old Constitution to being Democrats, considering themselves Anglo-Saxons, okay? It's an old English religion. Later Protestants, okay? Confederates. And I want to be very clear, not every Democrat was a Confederate, because not every state seceded. Every southern state or every slave-holding state seceded. Not all the border states seceded. Just a few of them. But that didn't mean that they didn't all agree with slavery. They just didn't all agree on secession. Okay? Not every Democrat. There was like 7 Democrats who started the Ku Klux Klan. Okay? But that we know from a 13-volume set that did a investigation of the Ku Klux Klan and other insurrectionary states and peoples groups, that the Klan was originally created to go up against loyal leagues and the Grand Army of the Republic. Okay, and then later they politically attached themselves to the Democratic Party because they could help them with their politics, you know, doing terrorist activity and stuff like that. So they use violence to get what they wanted. Okay, so, you know, even though it wasn't created for the Democratic Party at first, it eventually ended up supporting it. So this makes no sense for them to come over here on the right and bring their flag with them to Republicans who were always on the side of black people. Maybe I'll do another video on that too. Maybe I'll get that organized and I will just lay that all out. But I think this is good and sufficient for now, just to let you know that there is a war coming. That's a prophecy. That's a promise. You're going to see war on your own soil, and none of us are going to know what to do because none of us are ready for this. Trust me. I don't care how much water you get together. They can blast it out of the sky. I don't care how many food rations you get together, how many guns you get together. I don't want you to go out and fight. I'm not asking you to fight. I'm asking you to listen, because God can give you a place of safety if he will look down on you give you a personal place of safety. I'm not telling you where to go because I don't know. But he's going to help you, okay? And that's what this is all about. Him helping you. And you making a choice in your life to follow him and do that. Now, that's up to you. I know what I'm going to do. I'm just putting the message out there. I'm just the messenger. You do what you want. I don't want to tell you to do what you want. I want to tell you, no, you better do it. But no, I'm not going to do that because everybody has a free will. Everybody has a right to choose. And I just know what I'm going to do. I'm just letting you know, I'm just giving you a heads up on what's coming. And I think God is happy with that. And I'm sorry, this is a 45-minute video. But thank you for listening. And I hope you've been blessed by this message. And I hope it helps you in your future. This is what I want you to do. I don't want you to try to stop or interfere with what is going on. You won't win. There's only one of you, and there's a lot of them, and they have a lot of weapons, and they can take you out. Okay, at this point, unless God gives you the means to protect yourself. But other than that, there is no need for you to just go out and fight unless you're protecting yourself and you know that God, is behind you 100%, because I don't believe that he would let you die, okay? I believe that he would protect his people. And so we need to be vigilant in this sense of our character and being prepared for anything in case we do die, okay? In case things don't work out the way we hope. But I'm not trying to stop anybody. I'm not trying to jump up and let's go get guns and stuff like that. No, that's just not going to happen because I need to be secure. And I know that God will bring me that security. Okay. And that's what I'm hoping he'll bring you. That is why I'm doing this. That is the sole reason of doing this, is that you can make a choice in your life right now to follow God and find that security that you need, that will take you away from this war, that will preserve your life until it's important to die. I don't think this is worth it. I don't think you'll win. And I don't think you'll stop anything either. So it's meant to go forward. Anyway, that's my message. For whatever it's worth. God bless. Good luck. I guess I'll see you guys in the next video.